Every morning, two people wake up in the exact same city. They're the same age, they have roughly the same intelligence, the same internet connection, the same 24 hours, the same opportunities sitting right in front of them. 5 years later, one of them is living a completely different life. Better job, more money, more freedom, more confidence. The other person is still wondering when things are finally going to start happening for them. And when people see this, they usually assume something dramatic happened. Maybe one person got lucky. Maybe one person had connections. Maybe one person was naturally gifted. Maybe one person knew some secret everyone else missed. But most of the time, the difference isn't dramatic at all. It's almost disappointingly boring. The difference is usually a small decision repeated thousands of times. Because that's how life works. People imagine life-changing moments. Life usually prefers life-changing habits. Think about fitness. Nobody gets fat because of one cheeseburger. Nobody gets fit because of one workout. Nobody becomes wealthy because they saved $10. Nobody becomes broke because they spent $10. The individual action barely matters. The repetition does. And that's where most people completely misunderstand how their future is being created. They think their future will be determined by the big decisions, the house, the career, the relationship, the business. Those things matter. But before any of those decisions arrive, thousands of smaller decisions have already shaped the person making them. A professional football player doesn't become good on match day. The match only reveals what happened during training. The same thing happens in life. Your future is often just your daily routine wearing a disguise. And that's slightly terrifying, because it means a random Tuesday matters more than most people think. Let's do a quick experiment. Imagine I give you two options. Option 1, you can improve your life immediately. Starting tomorrow, more money, better career, more skills, more confidence, more opportunities, everything. The catch? You have to work incredibly hard for 1 week. Most people would take that deal instantly. Now option 2, you improve your life in exactly the same way, but it takes 5 years. And every day you only need to spend 1 hour. Suddenly, nobody gets excited anymore. Because humans are strangely impatient, we'll happily waste 5 years. But we hate investing 5 years, which is why people keep searching for shortcuts, the productivity hack, the secret strategy, the perfect morning routine, the magical app, the revolutionary system. People spend 6 months researching the best way to improve their lives instead of actually improving their lives. It's like spending more time comparing gym memberships than exercising. At some point, you have to lift the weight. And that's when I realized something. There is one decision that quietly determines the direction of your life more than almost anything else. Not who you marry, not what car you buy, not where you live. It's what you do during the first hour of your day. Now, before you click away thinking this is another video telling you to wake up at 4 a.m. and take ice baths with Navy SEALs, relax. This isn't about becoming a productivity robot. It's about understanding something most people never notice. Your first hour is different, completely different. Think about your brain like a phone battery. When you wake up, it's fully charged. As the day goes on, people start taking pieces of it. Your work takes some. The emails from that one annoying coworker take some. The traffic on your way home takes some. Your attention gets pulled in 50 different directions. By evening, your battery isn't empty, but it's definitely not full. And yet, most people try to improve their lives with whatever energy is left over. They'll tell themselves, I'll learn that skill tonight. I'll start reading later. I'll work on my side project after dinner. Then dinner happens, life happens, a notification happens, a YouTube rabbit hole happens. Suddenly, it's 10:47 p.m. and they're watching a man restore a rusty tractor from 1953, which is interesting, but probably not moving their life forward. The problem isn't laziness. The problem is timing. They're trying to use their worst mental hours for their most important goals. Imagine a student taking an exam. The first hour, they're alert, focused, sharp. Then the exam continues for 12 hours. By the final hour, they're reading the same sentence 6 times and negotiating with a pencil. That's basically what people do every day. They save the important stuff for later. When they're mentally exhausted, when distractions are strongest, when motivation is weakest, when self-control is hanging on by a thread. Meanwhile, the most valuable hour of the day gets spent checking notifications, scrolling, watching content, consuming, reacting. Imagine buying a plot of land in the center of a major city, the most valuable land you own, and using it to store junk. That's what happens when you waste your first hour, because that first hour is premium real estate. Your brain is rested, your attention is intact. The world hasn't started demanding things from you yet. And the decision of how you spend that hour ends up determining far more than most people realize. Not because one morning changes your life, but because one morning becomes a week becomes a month becomes a year, and a year becomes a completely different version of you. Now here's the part most people completely underestimate. 1 hour doesn't sound impressive. If I told you to spend 1 hour today learning a skill, you'd probably think, that's nice, maybe, but not life-changing. That's because humans are terrible at understanding accumulation. We're impressed by big events, not by small actions repeated for years. Let's do the math. 1 hour a day equals 365 hours a year. That's more than 9 full-time work weeks. 9 weeks. Every year. Imagine somebody told you, for the next year, I'm going to spend 9 extra weeks improving myself. Most people would expect that person to become pretty good at something, and they would. Now stretch that over 5 years. That's 225 hours. Suddenly we're not talking about a habit anymore. We're talking about expertise. Because here's the thing nobody tells you. You don't need to be a genius. You need enough focused hours. If you spend 125 hours learning marketing, you'll know more than most marketers. If you spend 1,025 hours writing, you'll become a good writer. If you spend 1,825 hours learning investing, programming, sales, video editing, design, or a foreign language, you'll become surprisingly competent. Not because you're special, because almost nobody else is putting in those hours. People love to talk about talent. Talent is often just what consistent effort looks like from the outside. Now compare that to the average morning. Alarm goes off, phone comes out, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, news, memes, group chats, a few videos, a few comments. Nothing terrible, nothing dramatic, but nothing useful either. And that's the dangerous part, because doomscrolling doesn't feel expensive. It feels free. 1 hour disappears, and you barely notice. But over 5 years, you just traded 1,825 hours of growth for 1,825 hours of consumption. Imagine 2 people standing next to each other today. One spends the next 5 years investing their first hour into learning. The other spends the next 5 years watching content. Who do you think has the better career? The higher income? The stronger confidence? The larger network? The better opportunities? It's not even a fair competition. One person spent 5 years building themselves. The other spent 5 years watching other people build themselves. That's what doomscrolling really is. Watching other people live while postponing your own life. And here's my favorite way to think about it. Imagine somebody offered you a master's degree. No tuition, no exams, no deadlines, no professors. All you have to do is spend 1 focused hour every morning learning something valuable. Would you take the deal? Of course you would. Most people would sprint to sign that contract. The funny thing is, that's exactly what's being offered. The opportunity already exists. The only difference is that nobody hands you a certificate at the end. Instead, you get something far more useful. Skills, knowledge, experience, options, freedom, the ability to create a life that looks different from the average. And that's why the first hour matters. Not because waking up early is magical. Not because successful people know some secret. Because every morning you make a choice. You can spend your sharpest, most focused hour building your future. Or consuming someone else's. And one choice repeated for 5 years eventually becomes a completely different life. Not overnight, not next week, but slowly, quietly, and then all at once. The future version of you is being built every morning. The question is whether you're building it intentionally or scrolling past it.